We now turn the time over to Mike Gobbi. Mike Gobbi has been an agent with Keller Williams Realty for several years, but he's been in the business working in REOs and distressed properties since 1980. So he has a wealth of knowledge on these topics, and that's why I asked him to be here today.
Okay, I've been around for a while. I started real estate when I was 12. So, 39 years. And it was interesting because my wife gave me a congratulation card on January 16th this year, because that was my 39th. That's when I started, 1980, and January 16th. Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah. Okay, great. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about investment properties, 4 units and under. Okay? So here we are. This is the 3 units to 4 units. Look what's going on in the multifamily section. This is 10 years worth. Multifamily was available. There was a ton of them in 2008, and then it just started receding and receding. So the market's really good for multifamily. Anybody here own multifamily right now? Yeah. Have you thought about selling them? Well, now's a good time to sell because there is a boatload of money coming in from the Bay Area. Anybody seeing property selling for 2 and 3 caps? Or maybe 4 cap? It's absolutely phenomenal what's going on. I just sold one of my properties. I'm an investor. I do a lot of that. In fact, Bill Andro handled the exchange for me. I just sold a 4 unit and I acquired property in another market, and I increased my cash flow by about $1,000 more net a month just by doing a shift. So the market is doing real interesting things. In this market, this is still a real active market. Single families are slowing down, but the multifamily market is still real active. So pay attention to that. And there are great markets across the United States right now going on. You can get some really good returns on multifamily. Okay, this one, you didn't put up there what it was. Anyways, this is the duplexes. Oh, single family. Oh yeah, single family. Yep. Anyways, look what's going on with the market here. The inventory is constantly going down. And if you look at the pendings, and then you look at the solds, the inventory has receded quite a bit from the past years. So this is still a real good active arena to operate in, especially if you're selling. Not so good for purchasing right now. REO data. Look what happened to REO. I'm kind of out of business. So in 2008, I think my wife and I, we closed about 230 properties between the 2 of us. Now I'm lucky to get maybe 2 or 3 a month. So that inventory is flushing itself out, but there's still a lot of default loans out there. They're just not going to sale. The REO industry, I think, is going to change, and it changes from cycle to cycle. When you look at what happened in 1980 and through the 80 cycles, that was the beginning of the REO. Banks didn't have REO departments in those days. That was the beginning of setting up the divisions, the REO loss mitigation, all that stuff. Then all of a sudden, we moved into the 90s. That cycle happened. The REO departments were developed. They knew what to do. That's when the short sale cycle started. Well, what happened in the short sale? That was a fiasco. It was just crazy. They didn't have systems in place, but they tried to do them. I remember doing a short sale in the 90s, and it took me a year and a half to wrap it up. That was brutal. Then in the then we rolled into the 2000s, In the 2000s, that was the loan modification process. Again, another fiasco. Now the short sales still had a lot of issues, but they were still processing them through and they were getting done, right? So when we take a look at where we're headed, I do have the crystal ball. Brian said he doesn't, but mine has a big crack in it. So whenever anybody's out there saying I'm making a prediction, walk away, run, hide. There is no predictions to the future. There is only speculation and there's only preparedness. So my opinion of what we need to be doing is we need to be preparing ourselves for a shift. And what is the shift? Ryan also said, when you're driving your car, what are people going to do? They're either going to put the brake on or they're going to hit the gas pedal, right? No. I'm putting on the blinker. I'm going to go this way or I'm going to go that way. You keep driving. So take a look around. Right now, I believe that as investors, we need to start protecting our net worth. And if you understand what the net worth is, what is your net worth at the time today? Whatever it is. So we need to go into protection mode. And what if nothing happens? Cool. Nothing happens. You're still in protection mode. So in my portfolio, I'm actually moving my assets around and protecting my net worth. And there are two ways to do that. You either do that with appreciation and the value keeps going up. But if appreciation stops, what else do you do? Well, if you go into looking at your loan status, and if your loan keeps going down, you can increase your net worth by debt reduction. Okay? So what if it happens in both directions? But if debt reduction goes down pretty quick, and you do have some appreciation, that's a wonderful world. But what if the appreciation goes in the other direction, it goes down? Well, you can offset that depreciation by debt reduction. A percentage, maybe not 100%, but when the recovery happens, you've recovered within a very short period of time, and you're back to whole again. Okay? That was something I figured out a while back, and I go, oh, Mike, that came up with that was brilliant for me, and that's just what I'm doing in my personal portfolio. And if nothing happens, cool. I'm pretty excited about what's going to be coming up into the future. You guys excited about a shift, whatever that shift's going to be? I don't believe we're going to be diving really deep like we did in 2008 because the cards aren't there. The toxic loans aren't there. It's just going to be a normal REO or cycle, like what happened in the 80s, maybe a little bit in the 90s. We're not going to see the 08 as much as I would love to have it back. Who in here bought property in 08, 9, 10, right? Okay? Every time I ask this question, who in here would have, if they would have known where we are today, bought more? All of us. We should have bought a ton more. But what happened when you're going through the normal cycle? You say, "Oh, I'm scared. It's going to change. I shouldn't buy anymore. I'm being told that prices are going to go up. It's going to peak." Well, we've been peaking since 2012, 13. It just seemed like we kept peaking and peaking. Well, always buy, if it makes sense. Okay. And whenever you buy, you've got to have holding power. What is your holding power? Can you hold and weather the storm? What is the storm going to look like? There is a huge shift going on. Let me see if the next slide is here. Okay. These are the short sales. Look what happened in the short sales. You think the short sale agents are out of business? Yeah. I did see a couple of cards floating around that said short sales special. It's nice. What I'm seeing, because I'm doing stuff out of state and all over, and I've done that a lot in the early 2000s. We did a ton of investment outside of California and look for emerging markets. There is a huge shift of wealth shifting all over the United States. It's like put everything in and it's just swirling everywhere. So we're seeing a lot of exit of cash and assets out of California, but we're also seeing an influx of money and assets coming into California. So it's balancing itself out. Bay Area people are just buying everything up. The unit that I just sold, Bay Area buyer picked it up and bought it. And we had multiple offers. So multiple offers is happening in the multifamily world right now. So take a look at your portfolio and determine if it's something you need to pay attention to. See, people ask me, Mike, what is your prediction for the future for REO? Well, I think it's going to look a little different than what it did in the '08. There is a lot of talk out there. Let me back up here. Banks don't like foreclosure on the property. They are lenders. They like paper. They like the loans. So I feel that the next cycle is going to be the banks are not going to want to take possession of the property, because as soon as they get possession, that's brick and mortar, that's tangible. They have to clean them up, they have to do the evictions, they have to get them on the market, they have to deal with crazy realtors, all that stuff. They don't always like doing that. So there is a possibility, and this is just my gut feeling, this is not factual, okay? If you think about theories, right? Do you think banks would come up with a formula or a way to not have to get possession to that property? And my thought was, yes. And I've talked to some people and they said, this is a proposal that has been proposed to some of the banks out there, Fannie, Freddie, some of the servicing companies. They may not foreclose the normal way. What if they foreclose and the opening bid was the delinquent amount and cost? So if you have an opening bid or a loan that's $300,000 plus cost, so now you're getting $360,000, $330,000, whatever it is. But what if the opening bid was $20,000? What if the opening bid was $15,000? Do you think that would spur investors to take a real hard look at that foreclosure? Now, how that would look, but they would go back to what we did in the 80s, and that's a simple assumption. If you know what a simple assumption is, you just assume the loan. So at the foreclosure steps, if they foreclose, and you're just buying the back payments, or the delinquent payments rather, and the costs, now that loan just became current, right? So now they have a good loan on the bank, on the books. So that is a sellable loan once they season it for a year. Well, if it goes bad, they just do the same thing all over again. But what happens when those payments are made? There's a debt reduction. Every time a payment is made, whether it's a 30-year loan, whatever it may be. So eventually that debt goes down. So the banks may not have to take possession of some of the properties. Now, is that going to happen a lot? It's kind of hard to say because they got to analyze each loan and what the loan looks like and how that's going to happen. So in the future, into the next cycle, I really think that they're going to come up with a creative way, and I'm not clear on 100% what that's going to look like, but it could be into that direction. Okay? Because they don't want the brick and mortar. And the asset managers and the big guys in some of these departments, they just go through hell dealing with all these properties. Anybody done an eviction? Try doing an eviction on a homeowner that lost their house. I have 3 going on right now. 3. One of them was all upset because the bank wouldn't do a loan mod for them. He says, well, are you working? Well, I have a part-time